Um, again, coming off of a tough loss against a tough opponent in Penn State, but a lot of things that we did well that we can continue to build on. A lot of things that we gotta, make sure that we improve. But those are the things that when you play a non-conference schedule like we did against LSU and Penn State back-to-back, hopefully it builds you, for the upcoming coming up to this on the MAC. We still have to go on the road and play a kind of up and rising Western Michigan team. So we still got to have our road focus, and anything can happen on the road. But we're looking forward for the challenge and looking forward to getting into MAC play.
Coach, Western's also true. You guys obviously played a really tough schedule. They've played three Big Ten teams on
Right.
the road. So how much of this game is you guys kind of, putting everything behind you? MAC play is kind of a refreshing thing for both of you guys.
I think, ourselves and PJ and Western are doing kind of the same thing, and we talked to our team on Sunday, and, we've already had a league game, which we did not win, so we're 0-1 right now, and that's kind of where we start with 8 games left and 7 of them being in conference. So this is kind of where it all starts, again for us, and I'm sure PJ's doing the same thing, thinking about those games, because, again, I'm sure he feels that he played against, a BCS, better competition, so it prepared him for the conference play in the MAC. So, and we got to sit there and look at it too. What we see on film, we're going to get a better team this coming Saturday, and we got to be prepared for it.
I'm not as players, you guys, is it hard, it's easy to kind of refocus now that you've been through such a tough stretch, and you got a MAC game coming up, and it's like, like coach that kind of started over type thing started for this year. You guys
Well,
feel that?
they pre-show us each week on how we need to get better each day, and it starts in the film room. And so, if we just come together and work hard and preparation is where it starts, and then we execute and practice during the week, then we'll be successful on Saturdays.
Yeah, like Dylan said, just learn from our mistakes from these last games and head into conference play, with a positive attitude. Come out and win these games in the conference.
Dylan, defensively, you guys had, all kinds of turnovers last year. Had you gotten any, you finally got.
Well, I think for anybody, executing on defense is fun, but we still have a lot of work to do defensively, up front and in the back end. I think film, again, I say film, we need a lot of film study. Preparation is where it starts, and execution. And it'll bring us to where we know how to play, and we'll be all right.
And also too, it's kind of hard to have a true measure just because you didn't have your so-called best 11, out there too, with Pat being out on offense, Nate Terhune being out there on defense, not being out there on defense, and Dree, of course. A lot of things that you can sit there, and you can do a little bit differently, maybe. But, injuries are a part of it. One of the things I sit there and I think I said, luck. To me, luck in football is when you can go injury-free. And right now, we're not having that luck because we're getting guys banged up, that didn't happen here in the past. And but next guy's got to step up. Next guy's got to be prepared. Next guy's got to play. And that's why I think we've harped the preparation because you hear it from these guys a bunch. But it's so key because you never know when it's going to be your time to sit there and step up and play. And it's been one of those years right now where we've had to have some backups. I mean, we had Elias Sayre playing 3 technique, and he's an end, against Penn State. So you never know with the preparation on where it's going to put you, and you got to make sure that everybody on the roster that is traveling, and we're only allowed 70. All 70 is prepared and ready to go. But, when you play LSU and Penn State, true traditionally powerhouse teams, it should get you prepared for your season.
Also, when Marcus Wright
Yeah.
Roseville, how do you hold up?
You know what? It didn't hold up too bad. But again, when you're playing against, some powerful guys, you kind of see, again, a little bit of the weakness and where we have to get better a lot in the weight room and things like that. But, for the most part, those guys did a pretty good job.
Has it been tough to convince the players so far? I know it's early in the week, but the message, like you said, you're trying to get across in preparation, moving forward from this point, you think they're kind of on the same wavelength as you there?
I hope so, because the problem that happens is and we talked, I talked a little bit yesterday just about the things that start to influence you when you have adversity is the outside influences, not the guys in that room. And that's the one thing that we can't. I mean, we are 0-1 right now in conference play with 8 games to play and 7 games in that conference that you can end up exactly where you want to be. So every goal that we want to accomplish is still in front of us. We never started the season and said we wanted to go undefeated, because we knew it was going to be tough. Do you want to win every game? Of course you do, but you want to be MAC champs. I mean, that's the goal that we got to make sure, or bowl champs. There's a lot of ways that you can be champions, and those are two of the goals that we definitely want to, finish out and accomplish. But, it's the outside influences that you worry about of guys listening to compared to just listening to really what's the facts, where are we and where can we go.
Can you guys address that? I mean, you are the defending MAC East Division champs. And here you are going into conference play. You are what you are, and here we go. That's pretty good.
We're going to take it 1 week at a time. We're going to control what we can control, preparation, hard work throughout the week, and then try our best to execute on Saturdays, and we'll see where we end up.
Exactly what we said, take it 1 week at a time. And, what Coach has been emphasizing is that we stay together as a team and, no pointing fingers, no division at all. And I think if we stay together like that, we can definitely win some games.
How much does the weather affect your game plan on Saturday? Because it seemed like both teams came out there still trying to get through the air.
Yeah, I don't think it affected it at all. There was probably the beginning of the game was the most rain or downpour, and then it stopped, pretty much, and just sprinkled. So I don't think it affected, either team as far as what we were going to do game plan-wise.
What are you looking at defensive line-wise this week? I don't know the stats of Fairchild, going like you said with Sayre, was playing 3 technique.
Well, Fairchild's injury was not as bad as we thought it was going to be, so we may get him back in there, this week. So, if not, then, Marcus Wright will be a guy, to play inside for us. Elias maybe will be a guy that play in there for us. But hopefully we'll get Chris back to at least get us, 15, 20 snaps that we can get out of him. But we'll have to see. It is just an ankle. It's nothing that was broke or no ligaments or anything like that. It's just a bad ankle sprain, so we'll see.
How did Rosie come out of that game?
Rosie came out good, sore, of course, but nothing. His back actually felt better after this game than it did the previous game.
Kind of watching him toward the end of the game, I know there was an extra point at the end, blows somebody up. I mean, is that him trying to set an example, like, hey, we're down and we know we're not going to win this game, but we're not going to quit? Is that what that is? That's just the way he is?
I think that's just the way he is, and I think we sit there and we say, and we said this from the start, you can tell how good a defense is by field goals and extra points. And when you sit there and as you guys watch football, watch how their demeanor and everything on extra point. And we've talked about that. And you can tell a team's demeanor. You can tell what a team's really about when they're kicking the extra point and half the team's walking off, or you get guys rushing or things like that. So it's a point that we made. Every point counts. Every point counts. So, and if you play football the way you're supposed to play football, what does the score matter? A call is a call. Go execute it. When you start looking at the scoreboard, up or down, you don't play that way. You don't play the game that way. So, Coach O'Brien, before the game, made a point to tell me that how good he thought Rosie Nix was. This is the only guy he talked about. He said that number 5 is a special player, which I thought was, was something special, from another opposing coach to tell you about a defensive lineman player that is an impact player for you. And he made a point to find him after the end of the game to tell him that.
That being said, as far as the demeanor goes, especially, you guys have obviously had a hard time stopping the run.
Yeah.
Partly
Yeah.
because of the competition and but
Yeah.
how are they holding up then?
You know what? I think they're holding up, but we're going to challenge them like crazy to continue to get better at it, because you're not going to win championships if you can't stop the run. And we got to sit there and hold our gaps. We got to play lower. We got to get stronger. We got to tackle. I mean, those are all the things that helps you stop the run, and those are the things we got to get better at, because, there's no championship team ever, and you win championships on defense, and there's no championship team that has won championships and have not stopped the run. So we got to do a better job of stopping the run.
How does Western kind of looking to them and trying to stop the run against Western? What's that matchup?
You know what? And I have not watched them a whole lot. Watched them this morning. I just kind of take a look at the games and take a look at the personnel. They are a spread, team but they will get in compact, formations and throw the ball up. So we have to continue to do well. And these guys did a good job last week. When you look at LSU, and that's where you talk about the improvement. LSU threw the ball up and completed a bunch of pass interference. Penn State did the same, and these guys did a good job defending it. Those are things that you're going to continue to get based off of the compact, formation. But I would sit there and say that Western is a pass team first and foremost, and then they try to, run simple zone plays and outside zone plays, and they'll get in a little bit of 21 personnel and try to run power and things like that. But I would say that they are a throwing team first. But when you sit there, and I think anyone looks at the stats and they say, we got to establish the run against these guys because they haven't stopped the run. So it'll be interesting to see what they come out with and try to establish against us.
Anyone in particular jump out?
It's too easy, too early for me to say as far as a guy. I think their running backs run hard. They're similar. They get in a little bit of a pony, number 20 and 22, but they look smaller, compact, power type running type guys. Their receivers are tall and long and rangy. That they throw the ball up to a lot, a whole lot. Again, a physical, a physical team. I haven't watched them, like I said, that much. But they're going to do what they do. I think they're going to sit there and try to pressure you. Anytime that you got a young and new quarterback, they're going to try to pressure it like crazy. They've been doing that, and against, the 3 Big Ten teams that they played. So we'll probably see a lot of pressure, from them. Which will open the doors for some things, but we still got to come down and execute and convert.
Dylan, Coach mentioned you guys made some plays in the secondary last week. Robinson, I think, had 3 catches. You got to feel pretty good about how you played?
As a whole secondary, yes, we do. Seeing how we played the first couple of games, we needed communication and just coming together as a secondary and taking pride in playing the game of football, period. And as you can see, we came together on Saturday and got it done.
Still expect Tree to have to be ready to go on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tim, offensively, you guys struggled a little bit passing against Penn State. Was that just kind of one of those days, or what was going on?
Yeah, I guess you could say it was one of those days, but you know what? Going into that game, what we were focused on was, eliminating MAs and winning the rushing battle, and that was something that we didn't accomplish that game. And going to this week is something we can learn from last game and try and eliminate those MAs by preparation and focus on the rushing game, and also we can try to improve our passing game from last week.
From your perspective, what's up front? You guys, like you said, are kind of struggling around the ball a little bit. Is it what do you think you can do this week to kind of get that on track?
I think it's just like I said, MAs. You know, people getting on the right guys and just studying, getting into the playbook more, watching the film more, knowing the defensive fronts, and knowing when guys move around, when they're shifting and stuff, who has who. That's all it really is.
Coach, you kind of talk about defensively stopping the run. Obviously, you got to run the ball too.
Yeah. And again, kind of like Tim said, and I think a lot of that also too is there's a lot of times, you know, again, and you hate to keep using this as an excuse, but you got a lot of new young guys out there that, you know, have to get stronger. There are times that you got a hat on a hat, you know, but you get a guy that can't sustain a block, you know, he just can't, you know, for that long a period of time, and guys are getting off and making a play. You know, we know that teams are going to move on us and do some different things, but we have to be able to run it. It's going to help us in the pass game. It's going to establish our pass game a little bit more if we can run it. You know, but when you can't, you get a lot of teams playing coverage, and it's tough to sit there and, you know, and run the ball or throw the ball when guys are playing a bunch of zone and doubling guys and doing all that stuff. So we'll have to establish and do a better job and you know, here in the future for us to be successful on the offense. And when we did that, when you look at even LSU game, when you know, ran the ball a little bit better in Bowling Green, it opened up some of the pass plays also too. So it's just not a very good game, you know, for us as a unit, but we will get better to get back and improve on those things, and we will get better at it. You know, I think he's good. You know, like I've said from the beginning, he'll be as hard on himself as anyone, so he'll get in the film room and he'll study the game and he'll get better at it. But, you know, it's his first one, and he's got to bounce back. And, you know, it just goes to show that position is so important. That guy can't have a down game. You know, he has to have a good game and stay focused and stay confident, you know, in what he does, and he will. You know, but you know, I have all the faith in the world in Colin.
How about coming off of two BCS level opponents back to back, despite the big losses, pretty competitive for most of Saturday?
Right.
I feel like that's something that's going to help you going back into conference play now.
You know, I think it always does when you sit there and you play, you know, traditionally powerhouse, you know, teams. You know, that you can sit there and build on a lot of the good that you did in those games. And that's what you got to sit there and you got to, you know, focus on a little bit, but I like to focus a little bit more on things we didn't do. I mean, those things we did well, we'll continue to do those things. We got to make sure that we fix the things that we didn't do well. But, you know, anytime you can play against, you know, so-called better competition, it's only going to get you better, you know, for your conference play. For again, to look back at the film to see the things that you did well, and the things, and improve on the things that you didn't do well. Because it still comes down, it doesn't matter who you're playing, it still comes down to, again, the little things of, you know, every play that didn't work, we didn't block it very well. You know, every play that worked on their side of the ball, we didn't execute it very well. So it still comes down to the fundamentals and technique of football, no matter who they put out there. If they put the Dallas Cowboys in front of us, still going to come down to fundamentals and technique and execution.
Melky Orr's missed a couple now. Is there any concern there? Is he all right?
Yeah, I think he's fine. You know, I think he's fine. I mean, I'll go for that all the time because I have all the confidence in the world that he'll make more than he'll miss. You know, so. But he's also doing a great job punting for us, and I mean he's definitely changing the field, you know, for us. And but I have all the confidence in the world that he'll continue to get better and make more of them than he will miss.
And I want to ask you, Fisher, you brought in that lead in the third quarter.
Yep.
Was that something that you predetermined, or was that based on how the team?
No, we actually predetermined that we were, you know, me and Rock talked on I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, and we were kind of sitting there going back and forth with when to do it, you know, because that position is like point guard. You want a guy to get in the flow, but we felt it was important to get David in there in the normal course of a game instead of just at the end to get him reps, to get him prepared for the future. You know, also too, because you just never know when that guy has to be your guy, and he's deserved it. You know, he's earned a chance to get out there and play. So we didn't know when it was going to happen, but we knew it was going to happen. So, but it was something that we talked about on Wednesday and Thursday. You couldn't find a parking spot either, huh? You know what? I think we're actually, you know, Chris actually was not as bad as we thought it was. It is just an ankle. Now it's a bad ankle sprain, but it is just an ankle sprain. We came during the game. They almost said that it was the same thing that Nate had, Terhune had. So you're talking, you know, 4 to 6 weeks, but. Hopefully we can get him back to be able to play a couple plays, maybe 15, 20 plays for us this week. We'll have to see. But, you know, Pat should be back. Dree should be back. Teagle, I think, is still maybe a game away or two away. He wants to get out there, but I just don't know physically that he'll be able to. But he may get a couple recs. Luke Wallet is fine. You know, Rosie's fine. So we should be, you know, pretty close to full boat with most guys.
You looking at taking some rib mention after the game, maybe looking at some freshmen on the D line?
Yeah, I don't know if that's, you know, I'd rather move some guys, you know, in compared to using, you know, some freshmen. I know Terrence Watt played a little bit for us in that game in Penn State. He went in there at end for us, to give us the ability if we got to move some guys down, that he can sit there and get some more reps for us at end.
If you do move guys, how would that kind of look?
It probably, you know, really the only two guys are Sayre and Wright, you know, big enough and physical enough for us to sit there and move those guys, you know, inside for us. You know, like I said, you'll move Terrence up to get more reps at end on the outside. Clay is an end. You know, Terrence and Clay are in, so it'll give those guys more reps at end.
Reno.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned before, once you get all the guys back,
You know what? Reno will probably end up at guard. I think sharing some time with him and Pruitt at that, I believe it's right guard, you know, spot. Once we get Pat back at the left guard, you know, so I think he's going to, you know, still maybe get some reps at tackle also too, but maybe split some time at right guard with Pruitt.
Has Katusha got back in the mix yet?
He has. He's been practicing, but just not ready. Well, I'm saying as far as ready is getting out there and playing. You know, right now he's just a little bit behind these guys with just the mental part of it. Chris White. Chris again is a guy that, you know, hopefully will work himself in the mix here in the future, but, you know, as of right now, probably not. He's listed, but I don't think he's gotten out there yet. You know, there's a lot of freshmen that's been out there, but he hasn't. He's a backup listed on a lot of them.
So at what point does he become a redshirt? Still a game or two away?
You know what? With the way that this year is going, as far as the health issues, I don't know if we ever can sit there and say it. Hopefully, you sit there and try to. Maybe after the 4th or 5th game, sit there and say you're going to redshirt these guys. But I think we got to see how it continues to go, with this year, is how it's going. I have not watched them a whole lot. Watched them a little bit on offense with just their different personnels. They are mostly, I would call them a spread, type of team. I like their running backs. Their running backs run hard, compact, little guys. They got big, tall receivers that they like to compact when they get in their 12 and 21 personnel, formations that they'll throw it up to those guys. But I would sit there and call them a passing team to sit there and set up the run. So we'll have to do a good job again with, with stopping their passing attack and to be sound on stopping the run. Just a little bit deeper and stuff like that. Yeah, and that just comes back to, again, just, understanding the sticks and knowing the sticks. And I got to take the yard a little bit, longer. And, a lot of times when you sit there and it is wet and soggy out there, you want to short it just to get into your route a little bit quicker. And they were doing a good job of jumping down, on routes also too. But those are the little things that you sit there and you watch the film that, that route has to be 2 yards a little bit longer instead of underneath the sticks, especially on the completions that were caught, but they was just a yard or two short.